What a difference a week makes. So last week I felt like I had a lot of knitting to share. I'd made some great progress. I was really enjoying the projects I was working on, and I really struggled last week to keep the podcast condensed. I just felt like I had a lot to talk about and a lot to share, and the podcast was quite long. So I actually cut a big section out of it and then recorded it as a separate video, which more about that later. This week is different. This week has been a bit frustrating. I feel like I've been struggling to make progress. There's been some personal stuff going on and some other hiccups, and obviously I'm getting ready for YarnAddict, which is later this week. So I've been stressed out and it's been hard work this week. And I don't feel like I've got much knitting done. I have got a lot of knitting done, but I just don't feel like I made a lot of progress. Mainly because I haven't got everything that I wanted to do done. But we'll talk about it. If you are new here, my name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns. I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through my website yarnaddict.co.uk. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. I am off to YarnAddict later this week. As you can see, I've started emptying the shelves behind me. All the other shelves the other side of the room have emptied. All my new yarn that I've ordered, and I ordered a lot, is all packed. Last year I ordered these storage bags from IKEA. They're kind of square shaped. They're quite a nice shape because they're not too heavy. And I have one that's like probably a third bigger than those, which I didn't use at the last show I did, I don't think. And I'm not going to use it this time because if we fill it full, it's quite heavy for Simon to carry. Those IKEA bags are much better. And I had 3 of those and they're all full. I don't fill them completely full because if they're a bit squishable, it's easier to get them in the roof box. Plus, also, I have to be a bit careful that they're not too heavy for Simon to carry. I can't carry them. I can carry them around like the upstairs of my house from the hallway to the bedroom where I was packing them, but I can't carry them in and out of the show because it's too much walking. So I ordered 3 more, which came this morning. So I'm gonna, after I finish recording this, I'm gonna pack the rest of my yarn. So that's done, and then after that, I just have a few small things to do. I've got some more patterns to print off. I've got some samples that I can't find that I really need. I need to get my float sorted out and print off all the paperwork and just a few odd bits and pieces. Make sure my PayPal card readers are working. I've charged them all up, and I need to make sure the one that's linked to my phone is working, and then the one that's linked to Simon's phone. I remembered this morning that he has got a new phone, or rather the screen on his phone broke earlier this summer, so he's got my old phone. So I just need to get him to decide whether he's going to use my old phone or his old phone, and then link it, check that it's working, and if he's using his new phone, make sure it's linked to his new phone. So just little admin things like that, still to be done. And then tomorrow night we're packing the car, and the day after we're leaving. I must admit, I've been a little bit stressed out about YarnAddict this time. Not specifically because it's YarnAddict, but just shows in general. I found, I guess, probably since COVID. Can't really remember before COVID now, since a long time ago. But because shows since COVID. So YarnAddict started again, I think in September 2021. Must have been. So I did 2021, 22 and 23. So I've done 3 YarnAddicts, and Wonderwall didn't start till 2022. So 2022, 23, 24. So I've done 3 Wonderwalls. And first show after YarnAddict for both shows was not good in terms of sales, obviously. And then the year after was 2023, was a lot better. And Wonderwall this year was back down to what it was, almost back down to what it was in 2022, so the first post-COVID Wonderwall, which I didn't expect. So I'm not doing it next year. It also clashes with my, or it's just after my Italian knitting retreat next year, so it's just going to be too much. But Wonderwall's always been a really good show. It's always been one of my best shows, and because these are the only 2 shows I'm doing this year, I think I'm just out of the habit. I used to do like 3 or 4 shows a year. The last 3 years I've done 2. I am just feeling a bit out of habit, I guess. And because I don't do a lot of shows, there's a lot of work for each show. And I guess if you have a studio outside your house, or even a dedicated studio in your house, where and you're working full time, and some people have them and their partner work full time in their business, or they have staff and things, and they do shows every month and whatever, and you probably then have a fairly organized system, because all my stuff is in my tiny office, and then all my like display stuff and storage stuff is all in the garage and various places. It's not as smooth and organized as it probably should be. So that's a problem. And I don't know, it's just been stressing me out a lot this year. Also, some personal stuff going on. And I never know how much to share personal stuff, but basically, my dad was taken ill last week and ended up in hospital. I think the reason he ended up in hospital was more because he probably has dementia. He hasn't had the assessment yet, but he's waiting for it. And he has quite severe mobility problems. And if you get ill and you have dementia and mobility problems, that tends to get worse. So I think that's the main reason he had to go to hospital, rather than the fact that he was so ill he had to go to hospital, if you know what I mean. So he had COVID. So I don't think, if he had been fit and healthy otherwise, like better mobility, no sign of dementia, that kind of thing, I don't think he would have been admitted to hospital. But because of those other challenges, when you are ill, anything like that tends to get worse, in my experience. So he's been in hospital. He's home again now. Obviously, that's worrying when you're as far away as I am. And I was like, on Friday, I was like, do I need to go to Norway? But that means cancelling Yarndale. And what about the stuff that's on next week and the week after? And I've ordered all this yarn. I'm going to lose all this money. I know family is more important than money, but it's still, it's a big financial outlay to do a show. And so yeah, weekend was a bit stressful. And then yesterday morning, we had, so before we went to Norway, the weekend before we went to Norway, so about a week before we went to Norway, our washing machine, which is less than 3 years old, broke. And so we thought, well, we'll order a new one, but there was a lot of stuff going on. So we thought we'll order a new one when we're on holiday, so we get it delivered when we get back. Anyway, we kind of both forgot about it. Eventually ordered a new one towards the end of our holiday. And we ordered it from Argos. And because they said that they could deliver in 7 days. So we chose the machine, ordered it. When we actually checking out and had to choose delivery date, we had to wait 2 weeks. But at that point, we were like, well, we've chosen this, let's just go for it, And so we ordered that. Delivery day was supposed to be yesterday. Yesterday morning, I'm doing my workout. My phone beeps. I look at it. A text message from Margot saying they've cancelled our delivery with no reason. And then, go online and reorder. So I called them, and I have a very frustrating phone call with a member of staff, and she just keeps saying it's stuck in the system. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? You shouldn't have taken my order if you haven't got the washing machine. She said, we have the washing machine. Well, why can't you deliver it? Because it's stuck in the system. We can't progress it. And I said, well, can you unstick it? Do you want my business? Anyway, I had to speak to a manager because I got very frustrated. All I got was, it's stuck in the system. So if you work for Argos and you know what stuck in the system means, please tell me, because I haven't got a clue. And I know it's not customer service people's fault, but, they're the ones that's their job. And they couldn't explain to me what stuck in the system means. I don't understand. If somebody has a problem ordering from my website, I will do my best to get their payment and send their order out to them. I guess a big business like Argos don't care about that. So we ended up ordering it from somewhere else, and it's not coming next week. So another couple of loads had to go up to my father-in-law. He's been washing up, well, we've been going up there to wash our clothes. But we haven't done things like bed linen and towels. And because the girls were home just before we went to Norway, we have a lot of towels. And, there's no clean towels in the house now. So, yeah, it's been stressful on all those levels. But let's talk about the knitting, shall we? I have an intarsia workshop coming up in Liscard in Cornwall for 3 bags full on the 8th of October. And I have taught intarsia before, I'm sure I have, but I haven't got any samples in intarsia. So I thought I better knit up a sample. And I was thinking about this over the summer, but I kept kind of putting it off. And I thought about it before I went to Norway, and I thought I really should do it. And then I put it off again. I should have done it while I was in Norway, really. So when I came back from Norway, I was like, I've got to get this intarsia sample done. And I had this small cushion, 25 by 25 centimeters. I thought I'll design a cushion. I don't really like really intricate intarsia motifs, like flowers with loads and loads of colours. Like, anyone familiar with Sasha Kagan? She does amazing intarsia kind of floral things, and they're beautiful, they're stunning. But I just don't have the patience for that kind of intarsia. If I'm going to use intarsia techniques, I like more simpler intarsia. So anyway, I designed this cushion cover. I ripped it out probably at least 4 times, and I ended up with this, and I'm still not 100% happy with it. And it may become a pattern for this workshop, it may not. I haven't decided yet. I haven't put the buttons on this yet to fasten it at the top, but because I thought I did last night and then discovered as I was about to start filming this that I didn't. So I'm not 100% happy with it. Partly it's my technique, partly it's the yarn, partly is the fact that I don't like the motif. But anyway, so that's what it looks like on one side. It looks a bit weird, I think. I don't know. I was trying to come up with a simple intarsia pattern that doesn't involve 300 bobbins of yarn hanging from it, because that's just going to end up in a tangled mess, and I'm not 100% happy with this. So but I'll finish the cushion and then make a decision about it. So yesterday I thought I will just knit up a couple of smaller swatches that could be either combined to create like a cushion cover or small blanket or whatever, or could just be used on their own. So the first one I designed and knitted up yesterday was this. There is a mistake in this, because when I was knitting it I noticed that I'd made a mistake in the chart, and I was trying to correct it as I was knitting it without correcting the chart. So I know there is a mistake in it. I don't think it's too obvious. Maybe not. I don't know. So I'm going to knit another one in a minute. That one I quite like. That's the kind of simple flower I don't mind knitting. And then I also designed a kind of rainbow pattern which uses a few more colours. Now I need to order some, well, I've ordered last night some intarsia bobbins, because they make intarsia a bit easier. At the moment I got like 5 small balls of yarn. They're driving me a bit mad. I think bobbins are a bit easier. But I'm also designing this. Hang on, let me just show you. So I'm third of the way, quarter way through the swatch. I only started it this morning, like a little rainbow diagonal pattern. What I was thinking was knit a few of these and kind of, they could be combined into a cushion cover. That's what I was thinking. I'll see whether I actually end up doing that or not. It just depends on what I decide to take with me when we go to Yarndale in terms of knitting. So that's kind of almost all the knitting I've done this week, which doesn't seem like a lot. After my great progress last week, I was kind of trying to rack my brain and thinking, did I do anything else last week before I started on this intarsia cushion? Because I filmed the podcast on Tuesday or Wednesday last week, and I don't think I did. I can't remember anyway. So I did, well, there's one more thing I did, which I'll come to in a minute. Anyway, so today I'm going to mostly knit that one up again, just make sure the chart is correct. Maybe do it in a different colorway, and then I'm going to finish, well, first I'm going to finish our rainbow swatch, and then I think I'm going to cast on something else, because I need something to knit on that Yarndale. I have also knitted a little bit on my sock. So we went out over the weekend. So Saturday we decided to go to a spin class, so a group cycle class, i.e. a spin class. And I cycle every day, well, almost every day, on my stationary bike, and I do about 20 to 30 minutes depending on how energetic I feel. And I do try and push myself, but I'm not pushing myself like you do in a spin class. And Simon hasn't done any other exercise other than walking the dog for a few years now. So we went to this spin class Saturday morning together. It was supposed to be 40 minutes. We both started cycling because everyone just walked in, sat on a bike and started pedaling. So we did the same thing. So by the time the class started, we'd probably done about 10 minutes because I track it on my Samsung watch. And then it wasn't a 40-minute class. So basically at the end of it, it was about an hour long class because I'd done nearly 10 minutes on my watch when she started, and I had an hour and 8 minutes at the end. So it was basically like half an hour longer than I expected it to be. And Oh, I was exhausted. I mean, I think I managed to keep up fairly well, considering the fact I've never done a class like that before. But it was hard work. And since then, I've been trying to push myself a bit more on my stationary bike in the morning and doing some of the elements that we did in the cycle class, like intervals and standing cycling and things like that. Just try to push myself a bit more. And I'm really enjoying it. Our plan is to try and go every Saturday, except I can't do the next 2 Saturdays. So after that, we were both a bit exhausted. So we thought, well, let's go to Plymouth, because I had a few things I needed to do, and walked around Plymouth. I took this with me, but I didn't do any knitting. We did also get dinner out, like an early dinner, and I could have brought my knitting into the restaurant because it was just a casual restaurant, but I didn't. But I have knitted a little bit on it since I recorded last week, but not a lot. So I've just done those few rows there. So not a lot really. So I'm going to move the marker up. I'm going to take this with me and use this as my main car knitting on the way to Yarndale, and also at the show first thing in the afternoon when it's quiet. I can pull this out and do a bit of knitting because it's just plain stocking stitch. And then when I'm going to take the other ball of yarn with me as well, which is here, because they came in 50-gram balls of yarn. So I better put that in my project bag before I forget, so that I can cast on the second one. So I'm definitely taking that with me. And once I finish this one, I'll cast on the second one straight away and try and finish that. It'd be nice if I could finish the rest of this plus the other pair while we're away, but I don't think that'll happen. So I'll take that with me. I am also thinking I may take Simon's sock with me. So I showed you this before I went to Norway. I haven't cast on for the second one yet, but I might put it in my bag and take it with me to Yarndale. So if I finish that sock, I can cast on that. There are a couple of yarns that I have on my store from Models of Uruguay. They're a Legre yarn. There's a couple of colorways I'm really tempted to cast on for a pair of socks. So if I don't take those rainbow socks for Simon and I finish the other socks, I may be tempted to wind up one of those and start. But I should probably try and finish Simon's socks first, because I've been working on it for a while. But I haven't started the second one yet, so maybe I'll cast on tonight or tomorrow night and take that with me. So if I finish my sock, I can knit on that. I should have a lot of knitting in the car on the way up and on the way down, because it's quite a long drive. Simon does most of the driving, but I obviously do have to drive a bit as well. And on the Monday coming back, I'm quite tired after the show. So normally I will fall asleep pretty quickly. So we're staying with some friends who live quite close to the M6, like maybe 15-20 minutes from the M6. And I would not be surprised if I was not asleep by the time we get onto the M6. Because I'm really tired after a show. So I don't know whether there's any point taking 2 pairs of socks with me. But I also need a project to knit on in the evenings. So we're staying with these friends. We'll have Thursday evening. I expect we'll just hang out at their house and relax once we get there. So Thursday, late afternoon, evening. Then Friday, we'll probably go out and do something with them in the morning, have lunch, and then go and set up for the show. And then we'll have Friday evening. Depending on what we decide to do on Friday, which I guess would depend on the weather, we may go and set up like middle of the afternoon. If the weather's bad, we might go and set up at 2. I think that's when it opens, although I haven't looked at the paperwork yet. So this depends on, but I should have a bit of knitting time in the evening. And then Saturday, knitting at the show will just have to be socks, because I can't do anything more complicated at the show. And then Saturday evening, we'll probably take our friends out for a meal, and so I won't get a lot of knitting done then. I don't think I'll take my sock with me to work on in whatever pub we go to. Then on Sunday after the show, we obviously got to pack up, and so that'll take a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours, 2 hours. Normally we can pack up and get out of a show in 2 hours, and then drive to our friend's house, and then I assume we'll probably eat at theirs, and then just relax and have an early night. So I'll get a bit of knitting done then, and then on the drive home. So I got like 3 evenings, but I'll definitely get a bit of knitting done, maybe Saturday night as well. So I feel like I want a slightly more complex project. I'm also teaching another workshop in October. I'm teaching my Diamonds Are Forever Farewell cushion, which I've lent to one of the organisers to use it to promote the workshop. So I haven't got that here, but it's quite big. I think the cushion is 35 by 35 centimeters, and that's quite big. It doesn't sound very big, but it's a lot of knitting. And when I've taught it before, most people haven't got more than a few rounds into the pattern. So I decided I would like make a smaller one. So that's why I ordered the 25 by 25 centimeter cushion I showed you for the intarsia cushion before. But that's quite small. So I've also ordered one that's 30 by 30 centimeters, which is due to be delivered this week. And I was going to knit my Diamonds Are Forever cushion in a smaller size. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to knit a smaller size, I might as well knit a new pattern. So for my Diamonds Are Forever cushion, I'm going to work out the numbers for a 30 by 30 centimeter size cushion. So that's an option for those who want to do that. Then I'm also designing another one which has like a heart motif on it. And I've charted it all out, and the chart is in front of me. I'm not going to show it to you. And I can't decide on the yarn. So I fancied using the yarn I'm using for the Antarsia one, because the pink, because it's a heart, I want pink. So I was thinking about using those two, except I can't find, I'm sure I got some of that, but I've already packed it and I can't find it. So I don't know whether to do that or not, but I do have, where's it gone here? I do have the same basically two colours in Lang Merino 120. And that's why I did the other cushion in. So at least then the tension will be the same and everything. I was also thinking I would like to do the colour, so the heart, so this would be the background colour, and then the hearts would be in the pink. I was thinking I would really like to do that in a self-striping yarn. So I was looking at some of my West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. So I have a light grey in the West Yorkshire Spinners Colour Lab DK. I can never remember the name of this yarn. Colour Lab DK. It's fairly easy to remember, but a few times lately I've forgotten it. So I got that colour I could use as a background colour. And then I was thinking I've got this one, which is Future Dreams. I guess it's because it says for those touched by breast cancer. So I guess it was one they did. Oh yes, for every ball sold, West Yorkshire Spinners donate £1 to Future Dreams breast cancer charity. So I can't remember when I got that, but I guess I got it at some point. I don't know whether this is like self-striping or more variegated. It looks more variegated to me. If it was just shades of pink, I go for this, but I'm a bit worried about the green in there. And then I thought I had a couple of these, but I can only find this one. This is one of the Sandra Rhodes colorway that she did for Colour Lab. So this is DK as well. And this one, I'm not sure if this one's self-striping as well. I don't like this colorway as much. I kind of like this colorway better. I also have which I packed. I had it here a couple of days ago, but I think I packed it because I decided I wasn't going to use it. I have the Knit Pro Symphony new yarn, new earlier this year, called Viva DK, which I will be selling on my stall. I've got the Twist cowl and hand warmer set, which I will also have on my stall, the pattern for that, knitted in the Knit Pro Symphony Viva DK yarn, and I really like it. So I was thinking maybe I should use that. And I have like a very pale kind of blush pink and a bright pink, which I had kept out thinking I'll use those. And then I think I decided I wasn't going to use those, so I packed them. But I'm thinking this one, the Yachtagon, it's a little bit slippery. I have used it for colour work before because I did all my colour clutches in it. But this is better for colour work, and it's the same tension as my other cushion. But also, I don't know, I need to just make sure I've got enough. And then this is also very nice for colour work. The thing is, I think I said this last week, when I do shows, if I have anything on this, I won't display samples I don't sell the yarn for. But I also don't know if I will continue doing shows. Because shows since the start of COVID, or since the end of lockdowns really, financially have not been very good. Sales are much lower than they were pre-COVID. Sales were already dropping pre-COVID. So 2017, 2018, probably personally my best years doing shows. And bear in mind, I only do like 3, maybe 4 a year at that point. It started dropping in like 2019. 2018, 2019, 2017 was probably my best year, I think, if I remember correctly. Then it started dropping, so 2019 was like a drop on the previous couple of years. And then obviously COVID hit and everything stopped and all the rest of it, and since then things haven't really recovered. I don't think that's, I think maybe 2021, 2022, that was because of COVID and people like not being sure whether to come back to shows or not. But since then, we've obviously had a massive cost of living crisis here in the UK and probably most of the world, I expect, which obviously isn't helping. You know, people's energy bills are sky high, mortgages are sky high, people have less money to spend, and there are so many more shows now. So before COVID, I think the main reason sales were dropping at shows was because there were so many more shows. And most of the people, apart from a few exceptions, so some people may just do their local show, but most of the big indie dives and the bigger young companies that do shows do them all, or most of them. So if you go to a show in Wales or a show in the east of England, south of England, north of England, in Scotland, you may get some different ones in Scotland, I guess, because it's a long way to drive for people from the southern half of England. But a lot of the people at those shows are the same people. So obviously, I don't think knitters all go to the same shows anymore. So I used to get a lot of people from the southwest of England who used to go to YarnAddict every year. Don't see them so often anymore. I know there's some that still go, but because there are more shows in the south of England, why trek all the way to Yorkshire to go to YarnAddict? I mean, YarnAddict's a lovely show. In case the organisers are watching, I think you should go to YarnAddict because it's a fantastic show. If I was going to a show as a visitor, YarnAddict would definitely be on my list because it's huge and it's a beautiful area, and it would just be a nice weekend. The other one I would go to, because it's a bit closer and it's also a great show, is Unravel in Surrey. So, what I was talking about. Yeah, so I don't know. Sales have been dropping for a while, and because shows are so much work, I don't know whether I'm going to be doing shows next year. I've applied for one so far, and I will apply for YarnAddict unless this year sales are really bad. But I just, I'm having to go to Norway several times. I've been to Norway in early September last year, Christmas, March, May, September this year. So I've been 5 times in the last year. So 4 times this calendar year, because I'm going again in November. So I'm having to go to Norway 4 times this year, plus holiday in Spain in June, plus all the workshops, and plus, it's a lot to do. So I don't know whether shows will be in my future or not. I'm taking it on a show by show basis because my husband has to take time off work, so he's got to take 3 days off work to come with me and help me. There's no point doing that if we're not making any money. If we're just about breaking even and making a teeny tiny profit, there's no point doing that, as much as I love them. I love the actual show days, so talking to people, and the 2 days I love. The prep and the aftermath I could do without. So yeah, so that's a long way of saying that maybe the fact that I don't stock these yarns isn't important anymore, because I may not be doing any more shows. And for teaching this workshop in a yarn shop, this yarn would probably be better because a lot of yarn shops stock this yarn. So, but also this is a one-off colorway, so I still don't know whether I want to use this or one of the other yarns. So I still haven't made up my mind about the yarn, but I need to decide today, because I'm thinking if I'm going to do this, I might cast on tonight. Last week I did film a long bit talking about what am I going to knit next, what shall I cast on, and I actually started going through some different yarn options and things, and then because the podcast ended up being so long, I cut a big chunk out. So on Friday afternoon, I was sitting there thinking, what should I cast on? I need to cast on another project. I need to finish this cushion, and I need to cast on something else, and I couldn't decide. So I came upstairs Friday evening, which is why the lighting wasn't great in that video, and basically went through all my options just to try and get it clear in my head what I wanted to cast on next. And what I want to cast on was I think I put it away again now, was the Yak blend with the pink gradient yarn, and do like a sort of loose fitting sweater, kind of elbow length, to layer over long sleeve t-shirts. That's what I'd like to knit. But I also wanted to work up a pattern in the Truly Hooked Advent Calendar and have that pattern ready for Advent season this year. So that's what I feel like I should knit next. So let me just show you the yarn in case you didn't see that video. If you want to know what the options were I was considering, go and watch it. It was on out on Tuesday. So that's the Truly Hooked Advent Calendar. I was saying in that video that, so this is 480 grams, 24 20-gram skeins. I don't like, let me just have a look. I don't like those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one's okay. I really don't like those. I would probably take those 4 out. I'm not an orange fan. I like yellow. I'm not an orange fan. So I was thinking I could take those 4 out and make it 400 grams. Because then if people want to substitute full skeins, it would be easier than 480 grams. And I've decided, I think, what I'm going to knit. I've swatched. So I started swatching. What did I do with my swatch? Oh, here it is. I started swatching before we went to Norway, and I hadn't finished that swatch, and I ripped it out. Then I swatched a slightly different pattern, which is very similar but slightly different. So that's my swatch. I just used a solid and a semi-solid or variegated sock yarn. Wouldn't necessarily knit in these 2 colors, but because some of those yarns, well, most of those yarns are variegated. Some are a little bit more semi-solid than others, but some have got several colors and a bit more speckled. It needs to be a pattern that can work with that. So I'm thinking about this, but I'm also thinking, do I want to knit a whole garment in this pattern? So what I'm thinking about is I have a sample already in it, but I don't know what I've done with it. If I can remember, I'll put a picture on the screen. But it's basically 4 rectangles, a large rectangle for the back, 2 for the front, and it gives you like a sort of drapey waterfall type front wrap, cardigan, shawl again, I don't know. But I'm thinking, so when I've done this before, and I've done a couple for magazines as well, I've done the back separately and the 2 fronts separately, and then sewed it together up here and down the side seam. I was thinking, to avoid the shoulder seam, to do it all in one go. So you'd knit up the front, down the back and forth, but that would make the rows quite long. The one I've made before that I have, and occasionally wear, I haven't worn it for a long time, but I have worn it before, is sort of slightly long. I could make one slightly shorter, but it would still make the very long rows if I'm going all the way across the back. But it would make it easier to like match the rows, because I would want the front and the back to match in terms of colours. So they would make that a lot easier. And I would probably just cast on from one end and work all the way across, probably taking out 4 of those oranges in the middle. So this is, I swatched it with in garter stitch and in stocking stitch. So let me see if you can see the difference. So up here to where my ring finger is stocking stitch, and down the bottom is garter stitch. I don't know whether you can see it. So obviously garter stitch would be easier because I can then knit every row. Stocking stitch, it would be very long purl rows. I don't think it makes a huge difference. So I don't know. I haven't decided yet what to do. I'm also thinking about alternating this with just plain garter stitch. So depending on how I do it for time this afternoon, I was thinking maybe I should try and work out the pattern is very simple. I just need to work out how many stitches to cast on, and I could cast that on and knit on that. That would be fine for like car knitting and evenings at our friends and stuff like that, and then I wouldn't need to take all the other projects, except I really need to get that ferrule cushion done. I was thinking, if I leave the ferrule cushion to next week, can I still get it done? And yes, probably, but it will be a rush. So I think what I'm going to do, if I don't change my mind, is do the ferrule cushion while we're away. And then, because I can't do ferrule knitting all the time because I have to look at it a bit more, it does hurt my neck a bit more because I'm looking down a bit more. So I can work on socks when I need a bit of a break from that. So I think that's what I'm going to do, unless I change my mind. Yeah, so I think that's what I'm going to do. And then I can cast off this Truly Hook project next week. I'd like to finish up by, so I'd really like to do this sweater poncho thing. It's a sweater really, short sleeve, elbow length sweater, but like loose fitting batwing type shape. Really like to get that done before we go to Norway in beginning of November. But, and I'm knitting in a 4-ply yarn, so it's not going to be a super quick knit, but previous times when I've been in Norway, summer or winter, I have not worn the sweaters I've taken with me, hardly at all. So apart from on the flight there, on the way back, and when we've been shopping in the local shopping centre, because in the winter, obviously you need a coat outside because it's cold. I don't like wearing my coat when we go to a shopping centre. So it's a shopping centre we go to like shop for the morning or afternoon, and it's too cold. It's a little bit chilly in there, but it's not too cold. It's not so cold I need a winter coat, but it's a little bit chilly just to be walking around in like a long sleeve t-shirt or something. So that's probably the only time I would wear it. So I'm thinking if I push myself to knit that and take it so I can take it to Norway with me. Last few holidays when I've done that, I haven't really worn it an awful lot, and I have other sweaters I can take to Norway with me. So I don't know. I think if I'm being sensible, I should do the advent calendar first, so that's done before this year's advent calendars come out. And then I can get the pattern out in time for advent season. Because I'm also going to be away for the first 2 weeks in November. In terms of editing, it would really be useful to get that at least started before I go to Norway, because I'm not taking my laptop with me to Norway, I don't think. So I don't know. Watch this space. I'll tell you next week what I decide to do. So I think that's it. I'm just quickly going to tell you a few things that are happening. So Yarndale this weekend in Yorkshire. If you're coming, I'm in aisle I think it's I-12, but I think it's where I was last year and possibly the year before. So that's this weekend. And then next week I am going to be, well, I'm teaching at the Knitting Hotel on Friday next week. That's probably fully booked, but if you fancy coming for the day, it's brioche knitting. Check with Belinda at the Knitting Hotel. Her website is always linked below. She might be able to fit in as a day guest. And then on Saturday the 5th of October, I will be at my local show here in Liscard, Cornwall at Three Bags Full Wool Market. I think it starts at 11 to 5. Really excited about that. And then the following week, 8th of October, I've got a half-day Intarsia workshop. 10th of October, half-day beginner brioche workshop. 11th of October, full-day Fairell cushion workshop. Following week, 17th of October, half-day brioche improvers workshop. 18th and 19th of October, I'm back at the Knitting Hotel doing finishing techniques and beaded lace knitting. Again, it's probably full, but do check with Belinda because she does get cancellations occasionally. And also she might be able to do a day guest, so do check with her if you're interested. Then the following week on 25th of October, I'm back at the Knitting Hotel again for brioche knitting. Same as if you fancy going as a day guest or check with Belinda, you know the drill. And then 29th of October, I'm at Spinny Yarn in Bovey Tracy teaching my clutch bags. My glamour clutch and my colour clutch. I'm sure I pulled out a couple of the other clutch bags. This one was downstairs. I'm sure I pulled out a couple of the other samples on my podcast a few weeks ago. And now I can't find them. They're usually in a drawer next to my desk. They're not in there. This one was downstairs. I can't find the others. I got 2 colour clutch samples and 2 other beaded glamour clutch samples, and I would like at least one of the colour clutch samples, preferably all of them, and I can't find them, and I have no idea where they've gone. And I'm gonna pack the rest of the yarn today and then have a good look around, move some of the stuff that's on the floor and things off the floor onto the empty shelves and see if I can find it, because it's got to be here somewhere. I haven't taken them anywhere else, so they've got to be here somewhere, and I just can't find them. And because I want them for YarnAddict, because they're very popular last year, and I also want them for this workshop in October, so I'm really annoyed. And then final one, 2nd of November, just before I go to Norway, I'm going to be a Stitch Fest in Newton Abbot in Devon, Newton Abbot Racecourse. I'm not exhibiting. I've considered exhibiting every year, but because I'm so busy teaching in the autumn, and because it's kind of towards the end of a very busy teaching season, I just haven't been able to contemplate exhibiting. Maybe next year, but I'm teaching this year, so I'm teaching no, I'm not. I'm teaching, what am I teaching? I'm teaching finishing techniques. That's what I'm teaching. Teaching half a day finishing techniques on the Saturday, 2nd of November in the morning. If you want to knit sweaters or cardigans or whatever, you should really do a finishing techniques workshop. You'll learn about short rows, 3 needle cast off, sewing up. You'll get perfect mattress stitch, rows to rows, stitches to stitches, stitches to rows, how to set in a sleeve cap, picking up stitches, 1 row buttonholes, all that jazz. It's a really good workshop. So all of that will be linked below this video. Okay, I think that's it. Let me just check my notes. Yes, I think that's it. Like I said, it's been a chaotic week. It's a chaotic podcast. I haven't had any new purchases this week apart from all the yarn from my Yarndale, except for these 2 things. These are the Lantern Moon swivel cords, nylon coated stainless steel. They're like the non-kinky ones, like the Chow Goo. I've decided I quite like the Lantern Moon tips. I think I said that when I did my review of them, whenever that was, last winter maybe. I'll link it below. But I do really like it, and you can use the Lantern Moon cords with your Lykke and Nipro. All the Nipro needle tips and the Lykke needle tips and the Lantern Moon needle tips all fit the same cords. And because I don't particularly like the Lykke cords and the old Nipro cords, I like the Nipro do some similar cords to this now, which I like. But I ordered a couple of Lantern Moon ones. So I ordered 2 60cm ones and 2 100cm ones. And I've got 1 or 2 80cm ones already. And then I was also going to get a couple of more needle tips, but they were out of stock because I have 4mm needle tips. They're made in ebony wood, really beautiful dark wood. And I've decided they're very useful for traveling because although I will take my Chow Goo needle tips when I travel, there is always a concern that they will get confiscated in airport security. Never had a problem, but I figured that wooden ones are probably safer than metal ones if you're worried about getting confiscated. And although it's never happened to me, you know, there's always a first. And in fact, on the British government website, it does say that you're allowed to take knitting needles on board a plane with you, so that's not a problem, but it can be a problem in other parts of the world. I specifically heard about people having problems in Turkey and Greece. And did somebody say Mexico or somewhere? Anyway, I've never had any problems, but there's always a first. So I was thinking if I get a few more Lantern Moon tips, so I got 4mm ones, I was going to get 3.5mm, 3.75mm maybe, and I might also get 4.5mm. Anyway, I tried to order the 3.5mm and they were out of stock. So after Yarndale, I'll probably try and, when they get back in stock, I'll try and order again. And I'll just get the tips that I use the most often. And then I can use those when I'm traveling rather than my metal ones. So if there is a problem in security, I think wood is less threatening than metal. Although I've never had a problem with my metal needle tips. Right, that's it. I'm not planning to do a lot of shopping at Yarndale. I would like to get some fibre because I need to start spinning something new and I don't have very much of a fibre stash. I do have some fibre, but I fancy a colour that's a bit more exciting. So I am on the lookout for fibre at Yarndale this weekend, maybe 1 or 2 braids of fibre. I saw one at Wonderwall that I really liked, and then I kept dithering about it, and when I went back to get it the last day, it was gone. So if I see anything this time, I'm going to get it straight away rather than hesitate and miss that again. Right, my tummy is rumbling. I need to go and get my lunch and edit this video and get back to Yarndale prep. So if you're coming to Yarndale, do come and say hello. I'll be on I-12, I think, or in aisle I anyway. Come and say hello. I'll have lots of yarn patterns, beads for knitting, some knitting notions and fun things from Nipro and Lantern Moon, and my book Speedy Lace Knit and Easy Lace Knits. I don't have as many copies of my book as I thought I had. I ordered quite a few at the beginning of the summer, and I've obviously sold more of the summer than I thought I had because I don't have as many as I thought I would. It's too late to order now, so if you want a book, come by early. Anyway, I'll see you at Yarndale. If you want to see me, by the way, on the Sunday, I'm teaching Sunday morning. So if you come by the store on Sunday morning, you'll find Simon on his own. So if you specifically want to say hello to me, make sure you come on Saturday or Sunday afternoon when I'll be there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.